Welcome to the Horror Friendly Podcast.
It's not over because that bitch is dead.
Let's delve into that a bit deeper.
I'm going to be like the peacekeeper between you two tonight.
Don't fuck with the original.
Yeah, don't fuck with the original.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of season 9 of the Horror Friendly Podcast, part of the You Run Podcast Network. My name is Katie, and I am joined by Chantal.
Hi.
And I am joined for the very last time by Charlie. Hey, Charlie.
Hi.
This is an emotional day, everyone. This
So,
is Charlie's last episode.
How are you feeling?
Yeah. Okay. It's an end of an era. But yeah, it's mental.
Yeah.
Mental. 9 episodes, seasons seasons later. And yeah.
I thought we were only on season 8, so
I mean, I didn't even realize we were on season 9, so I thought we were still like on season like maybe 5, 6. But 9 seasons is pretty well done.
shows
Pretty
you've all
good
been paying
going.
attention.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we only have 10 episodes in each season, so they go quite quickly, don't they?
Yeah.
True.
But yeah. But we had our followers choose this film. And Charlie, what do you think of? I mean, you obviously gave the options, so
Yeah.
are you all right with this choice?
It's too late to do anything about it now. But
This was one that I wasn't even for weeks and weeks. Obviously,
Yeah.
it was literally up until I was writing that poll. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to put that on there.
That's so
Fucking
funny.
hell!
I was going to say, because when we discussed doing a poll, and we were like, oh, that could be like a good couple of films to choose. Blair Witch was never even mentioned.
I know. I don't really know what happened. I sort of just put it down. And I was like, I doubt it might get like a little bit of, and then all of a sudden, just like everyone's voting for that. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
I didn't think they'd vote for it, to be fair. I thought it would be one of the others. So
Yeah, you'll have to cover them at some point now.
It is a classic, though, so I think it's one of those where a lot of people have seen it. Like, whereas some people might have heard of others but not seen them yet.
Right.
A lot of people have seen Blair Witch, because I think it is one you kind of start with. Maybe not start, but it's a 99, so it's, it's been around a
yeah.
while.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know this. I thought you'd seen it.
No.
Why write it? I'm so confused.
Because I knew we'd spoken about it over the last few years, and I've always been like too chicken to watch it.
You just wanted to go out with a bang.
Yeah, I wanted something to go out with a bang, and obviously there's Barbarian. I'd seen, and I suggested that, and I thought, tell you haven't seen that, and I think you'd fucking love it.
But you'll know one day when we cover it.
No, like you have to just get me back on. And also, like, I'm expecting Scream episodes. I'm like, I'll be listening in. I'm gonna have to read. I'm still watching them one a year. I'm gonna be there in spirit, just being like with my ghost face mask, just like
Absolutely.
Just walking to work wearing your ghost face and listening to us. It'd be great.
Yeah,
People won't stare at all.
That's it. Obviously, Cannibal Holocaust. I've spoken about so many times. I still haven't seen it. But I think I will watch it at some point. But obviously, it wasn't the right time to watch it. And the listeners chose this one, didn't they?
Yeah, we got to do what the listeners say.
Cunts.
She can say that now because she's just like, fuck it.
I mean, well, let's see what you have to say about this one. So we've given it away. We are doing the 1999 horror mystery, The Blair Witch Project. 3 students, hey, there's 3 of us, for the last time, decide to go into the Maryland backwoods to cover the mystery behind the Blair Witch incidents. However, they lose their map and things take an unexpected turn. Katie, I'll come to you since Charlie always complains I come to her first every time. Katie, come to you. I'm assuming not your first time.
Not my first time. I haven't seen it in ages though, so it was really cool to revisit it. I like this film, you know. It's a bit sort of slower than I remember it being. I mean, it's only an hour 20, but like I guess that's the whole point of it. It is meant to sort of build tension and stuff. So but yes, there were quite a lot of gaps where I thought like, oh yeah, come on now. But generally I think it's quite good, and it's quite nostalgic, really. I think that's what it is. It just reminds me of like being a horror fan when I was younger and watching it. So solid film, I think. What about you, Tel?
I think I must have seen this. Sorry, I'm like eating I'm trying to eat and drink everything to stay cool, and now I'm trying not to burp down the microphone again. Yeah, I think I saw this in college because when I was in college doing a lot of media, watching a lot of horror films, we were kind of looking at the genre. So I think it was one we watched then, because I think again it wasn't the first found footage film, but I think it was the first one that had such a big impact. And I think it was that kind of trying something different and doing it really successfully, as well as their marketing was very unique. So I do think it gave a lot to the horror sort of genre. I didn't think it was that slow, although I was doing other stuff at the same time as watching it, because I've said it before. So, and again, hour 20, I can handle that. But I couldn't remember how it ended. It was so funny. Like when they hit that house, I was like, I actually have no idea if there's a jump scare about to happen. I actually flat out cannot remember what's about to happen. So that was a bit weird. And then it was a bit like, I know it's supposed to leave you lots of questions, but I don't know. I'd have wanted some more resolution, but I don't really know what, because that's the whole point, isn't it? So it's a hard one. Charlie, what about you?
Where do I start?
She just farted out of fear.
It did sound like you just shot yourself. That wasn't just me. I was like,
I was blowing air with my mouth.
I know, like from a visual, I knew what you'd done, but the sound was.
Oh,
weird.
okay. Sorry to our Spotify listeners, or wherever you get your podcast from. Yeah, this was. I don't really know how to describe it. I liked it, and I also didn't like it. I did feel like it was way too slow. Like they took far too long to build up. It had a really great. Just before Thingy got lost, I think there's like a scare and they run out of the tent and it's like nighttime. From that moment on, it really picks up, and I was like, okay, fuck, like this is scary. But yeah, it just seemed like it just felt like it took like a good hour to get into the film. And then by that point, I sort of lost a bit of interest. And then obviously that scene happens. And then from there, I was just like, okay, cool. And then, yeah, the ending, I was a bit like, I just wanted something more. I can imagine when this first came out, this must have been fucking huge. Like, because I love a found footage type film, like is it Cloverfield?
Yeah.
What am I thinking of? That sort of thing. Like, but I feel like there's more action in that. Is it Cloverfield Lane? Is that the follow up? I can't remember which one. Anyway, ignore me.
Yeah, I think the original Cloverfield is handheld.
Yeah, I thought so. It's like sci-fi, but it's a bit horror-esque ish. But yeah, like I've enjoyed. I haven't watched that many, but the ones that I have watched, I have really enjoyed. And this, yeah, I can see this being like the somewhat like the start of like a really big movement of found footage movies. I think it was well shot. The acting was a bit ropey at times, but it felt like to me that they, I mean, I don't know how it was written or whatever. It felt to me like they were given like a scenario and then they had to sort of act it out like GCSE A-level style, drama. Probably a bit better than that, but like, I don't know. Pretend your friend's gone missing. I've got some like theories that have happened along the way as well, but obviously as we talk about it more, we might get into them. But yeah, no, it was a clever film. It was quite scary, but yeah, a little bit too long in the build up for me.
I agree with you, Charlie, with like the found footage thing, because like I guess like the first one was like Cannibal Holocaust, and it was kind of similarly done where like the actors had to like not take part in any interviews or any like press or anything after the film came out. And Cannibal Holocaust they did that as well. So I wonder if they took some inspiration from that.
I was gonna say they went into hiding for like a year after, didn't they? And then they had to prove like, actually, no, they're not dead. They are.
Yeah.
Still alive.
They were listed on like IMDb as like, because it was like, oh, birth and death date. Under death, it was like unknown presumed, missing presumed dead or something. Like they literally had them listed as like still missing, even though they knew full well they were fine, but it was all the marketing.
So I wonder if they took a bit of influence from that, from Cannibal Holocaust, because they did that in that as well. But yeah, I agree. Like I actually really like found footage horror. I think a lot of it is actually quite good. Like Paranormal Activity, I'm like quite a big fan of those films. And Cloverfield's a really good shout. Some of them can be a bit, I think sometimes it's I think because it was such a big movement when it came out that it's been done to death quite a lot now. But when it did come out, and I remember when I was watching it the other night, I was thinking like our Blair Witch was Paranormal Activity, because that was when we were all old enough to go to the cinema and watch it. I felt like that was kind of our Blair Witch, whereas this was maybe a little bit too old for us. But I can definitely see how it like started that, like reignited that kind of thing again in horror. It's quite cool.
I know what you mean when you say about found footage as well, but I also think as well people were like, oh, that's so easy to make, because as you said, Charlie, it feels like it doesn't have a script, and it had like a 35-page kind of rough guide so the idea was that they would set up the scene and improvise them. And they did say something about GPS, which I'm gonna just try and get in a minute, but I think that's the thing, is then a lot of filmmakers, again, I think like I'm trying to find how many days this took to film, because I think Paranormal Activity I once heard was like 2 weeks or something. But that's the point. They can make them cheap. The editing is relatively cheap, because again, like in a lot of it, it is like just slicing things together, but the angle doesn't have to be perfect. You haven't got 6 cameras and 10 microphones. You've literally got one camera. So I think this one had 2. One was black and white, one was color, and it was. So again, it's like, yes, it's still work, but it's a lot easier than some films. So they were just pumping them out, something stupid. And it did get a bit like, again, Paranormal Activity 1 was great. It was really scary. And then they just got more and more ridiculous. And it's like, okay, fine. You can stop now. As is the same with most franchises.
Horror.
I love a good franchise horror. Why is this bloody fact? I just saw it and it has vanished.
I will say as well, like thinking back to, when was it, 99? I feel like obviously there wasn't the internet as such to hype it up as when we were growing up. Like we didn't, like Paranormal Activity, everyone was writing about it on fucking MySpace or Bebo or Facebook. Like you could check in on going to Odeon Cinema to go and see this. Imagine watching this and then being like, oh my God, are those people actually dead? And like you can't, like no one thinks to Google it or whatever at that time. This is like early years of vlogging. If you think about it, they're going to upload it onto YouTube after. It's essentially what it feels like it's doing.
But again, as well, like we didn't really use the internet in 99 to kind of disprove anything. So if you read these 3 people are missing, you were going to believe that.
Yeah,
because that was what it was for. Like you
and
wouldn't...
here's the evidence to go along with it. Like,
yeah. Whereas now which is obviously a fake made poster that we wouldn't realize. Whereas nowadays, anything you read on the internet, you're like, maybe I'll double check that.
There's no way you could do it now. They would find the people on Instagram, or someone would find them somewhere. Like
They'd
fat
submitted
art.
to Anonymous. Do you know these people? And then
Yeah,
all of a sudden
literally,
you've got-
no chance.
It'd be one of those interviews, like a close source to the person tells us they're alive. Like, do you know what I mean? But yes, the actors use GPS trackers to find their instructions for the day. So this is from Mental Floss. So producers programmed waypoints in the GPS unit for the actors to locate milk crates with 3 little plastic canisters in each. In them, each canister contained notes about where the story was going for each actor, who would not show the other 2 their paper. From that point, they were free to improvise the dialogue, provided they followed the general instructions given to them. That left the actors to fill in their own blanks. I wrote that whole piece in the cemetery, all those bits from my characters reading the narration for her documentary. Dana, who said, I did research on all kinds of symbolic symbols and Wicca and how to stay alive in the woods. I did a very good job of freaking myself out as best I could before we even got there. So I like, because again, I'm trying to find the exact information so that I'm not just blurting shit. But I think they were just literally left in the woods with the cameras.
Okay.
And I think I heard somewhere as well, they had like minimal food. So when they're getting like really irritated with each other, it's real because they're all starving at this point. I think the producers were keeping them awake. Like they kept interrupting the like shaking the tents and stuff. I might be making that up. So I'm trying to find the backup. But I'm sure it was this film where they started doing that, like really fucking with the actors.
So I found like one clip after I'd finished watching it, and it was literally the scene where it's like, oh fuck, what is that? And then they shoot out the tent. Apparently there was someone in a white dress up on the hill, but the person was so scared. She was meant to get it on camera, but completely avoided it, obviously, when she's fucking legging it off after the other 2.
Yeah.
So obviously I think they set things up obviously around them
To freak them out. That's brilliant, actually.
But the fact that she didn't even get it on camera what she was meant to get is great.
That's
so funny.
At least it was just someone in a like white dress. It wasn't like a really expensive thing that she missed the shot of. That's so funny. But no, but for me as well, it felt very real. Like, because again, I think, did we all do film or media in college?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't know.
Film.
You did film. I did media. I thought for some reason, Charlie, I thought you did as well. But
I
again,
did music.
Music. But yeah, like, so part of the course was obviously you make your own like short films and like little ideas and stuff. And the really cool thing was that I was like, I could picture like being in college and somebody doing this and somebody being like, I'm gonna take the camera and go away for 2 days with my friends and it will be fun and fine. Like for me, it felt very real. It felt like one of those horrors that could happen because people would just try and then end up getting lost in the woods.
Yeah, I actually thought the acting was quite good. Like, I thought she was quite good. I mean, she was quite irritating as a character, but she was quite a good actor. And like when they were having these arguments, like you said, Tell, it genuinely felt like they were actually arguing, and like there was a lot of like, I don't know, it seemed quite tense, like filming it. I'm sure there was actually some real, like they were actually really pissed off with each other at some points.
Probably.
Yeah.
But again, if they're getting like notes and not, so again, if you know they've got notes and that note says wind you up, you're not going to take it personally at the end of the shoot, but during the shoot, I imagine it was fucking tough.
Yeah. There's another film which like is kind of related to this called August Underground, and it's like an extreme horror. But that came out in 2001, and that's like a handheld camera one as well. Like obviously nowhere near as well known, and it's apparently not a very nice film, but that's just another one. So like there were so many out there. And now they like you say, Tell, sort of churning them out a bit more. But
although they have stopped again. Like I think around Paranormal Activity there was too many, and now they've kind of pulled it back in. Although so part of the problem as well with this is people in the cinemas watching it were getting like seasick because of all the shaky like hand motion. And I think that
they didn't have a gimbal.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is part of the problem with these. We actually slagged it off last week, didn't we, with the House of Jack built. Like at one point it's really throws you off because there's too much movement with the camera. But I think Paranormal did it quite well, where it was like, oh, we're setting up cameras to catch the paranormal. So actually
like CCTV.
Yeah, so theirs was static cameras, which kind of gave them that edge, that it took away that motion. But I do think it showed the panic. It showed the and again, like all the angles were a bit shit when they're kind of like having a fight. The camera's really in their face. It's not flattering angles. Like... Yeah, it's not flattering, but it's real. It feels very real.
Yeah, like they're genuinely pissed off with each other. It was also funny to see like when like you said, tell when it could be real, because some things you didn't know, like if it was the witch or if it was them. Like when the map went missing, I couldn't remember what had happened, and I was like, oh, did the witch nick it? And then when when Mike obviously found out that he chucked the map away, but that also then, like, do you have more doubt in your mind? You're like, oh well, does this witch exist then, or were they both just fucking with each other?
Well, this was it, when that's revealed and she starts screaming. Like, it was a bit annoying, but also I was like, I think I would have reacted the same. Like, I'd have drowned him. Like, no, try.
So this comes in with one of my theories that I think the witch was possessing. Like, literally, as soon as they walked into those woods, that was it, game over. And I've had a feeling like the witch was sort of possessing them and like making them do shit, like throwing that away, like leading them into the creepy house, like obviously leading him off and cutting out his tongue or whatever it is that we find.
So I kind of, I see what you mean, but I also think, again, if you're overtired, because I cannot imagine the frustration of walking for 15 hours in one direction just to turn up where you started.
Well, like, this is the thing. She's like, go east, and then they end back up at the river as well. And it's just like, oh.
Was it Get Out, where we were like, if you're lost in a forest, follow the river? And he threw the map in the river, so there was a fucking river. So keep the river on one side and keep walking. But again, I cannot imagine the frustration of being overtired, underfed. They've run out of cigarettes, so they're all like nicotine deprived. And then all of a sudden turning up back 15 hours where you just started, I'd be fuming. And I was like, I don't even need a witch in that situation. I'd be fucking like causing some fucking hell. So it's one of those where it's like, again, I think the witch is part of it, but even just human nature in this is enough to drive you crazy.
I think there's one point in the film when you can actually see the road, like very, very subtly. You can see it from a distance away, which is like so like gutting.
Was there a lady in a white dress standing on
it? There wasn't. It was just, there was a tiny bit of road, and I was like, I think that's it. And then I looked it up, and there is apparently, like, you're supposed to see a tiny bit of road,
which is so funny as well, because it's just like,
I guess so. If you're so angry and that, like, you might not even pay attention to it. You might be like, oh, it's just. But there are bits of it which does look like footpath and stuff like that. So it's a bit like.
Yeah, and like whether they're possessed or they're just like, you just see them slowly go insane. Like they're obviously not going to be thinking clearly. Like at the end, Mike is like just rocking back and forth. Like you can tell. Like, to be fair, like it's scary either way. If they're getting possessed by the witch, it's fucking scary. But if it's just them going mad because they're stuck in these woods, that's like awful as well. So either way, it's just fucking scary.
What are so the argument that the witch does exist? I actually before we get to like that, but like all the interviews they did with the people, like the person who's holding her kid.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm just telling a scary story. It's real.
It's all right, Ingrid. I'm just telling a scary story, but it's not true. It's not true.
Really cracked me up. But I really liked that part. But then I was going to say, but like the clues that the witch is real is obviously, as you say, Charlie, like finding his tongue. I think it was a tongue. But he could have done that himself. But like the sticks and stuff when they're all together and the stones, where it's all a bit, is somebody fucking with them, or is it this witch? Is it, because nothing was so supernatural that it couldn't have been done by a person.
That's true.
It's like the weird sound as well, though. But then it could be, I don't know, like a fucking fox or something outside their tent, where it's like making like rattling noises and. Yeah.
But then how do you explain him turning his back at the end? Like that surely gives away that he's possessed. Why
Yeah.
would he do that if it was just some people fucking with him?
What he did is he took the kids down in the basement by twos, and he made one face into the corner,
Really?
and then he would kill the other one. And then when he's done with that, he'd grab the one out of the corner and kill that one too.
So that is the bit. Like once they hit the house and he keeps hearing like, is it Josh's voice? Oh, he's upstairs. Oh, he's downstairs. That I can't explain. Like that's the bit that makes me go, okay, maybe there is a witch.
Well, considering he's got no fucking tongue as well, like I like as well how you can hear her scream, but it's through the other camera.
Come on! Josh!
Because it's like, it sounds
clever.
distant, but it's like, oh.
Yeah, that is cleverly done. But then and again, it's like all those experiments they've done where they actually kept humans alive for like 72 hours or longer, and humans do start going fucking weird. Like it is generally a torture device. So it is one of those again where I'm like, has he just been up too long? And this is just his breaking point where he's like, I can't find my friend. I can hear my friend. But again, we could hear him on the camera. So there was a voice there that wasn't in his head. And then he just snaps, or is something possessing him?
Do you think the witch possessed Josh by using his tongue? So he was able to mimic his voice or his teeth or whatever.
Because was he speaking?
I think he was saying stuff.
Oh.
I don't know what he was saying, but he was shouting out stuff, I'm pretty sure.
In my head, he was just like, ah! And I was like, okay, that's fine, because you can do that without a tongue. But no,
maybe. I thought he was like saying shit, but...
I always hate this. I've literally watched this like a day ago and I already can't remember. My memory sucks.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was definitely shouting out stuff.
So maybe I'm leaning.
He was making noise.
Yeah.
I'm leaning more towards that was a witch. But
oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
To be fair, I thought the ending was really good. Like it was effective. Like it was quite scary. Like because
it was fucking annoying though, just leaving it like that. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, I did want a bit more. Oh, but again, that's a really found footage thing. To just have like one last moment and then leave it. And it's like,
yeah, that's what you're going to get with found footage. Like you're not going to find out everything because it's meant to be so realistic.
Also, if I want to be that person, obviously they were like, oh, we found their cameras. I'm like, oh, so you just walked into the woods all the way to the house and walked out again? Like it was fine for you, whoever found these cameras?
Yeah, maybe because they were fucking with it. They were looking at the origins of the Blair Witch. Like they were messing about. It's like when you mess with an Ouija board, like you're going to get the shit.
Yeah, you're asking for trouble.
Maybe that's why. Maybe because they were researching it. This witch was like, hang on, I don't want you involved in this shit. I'm getting rid of you.
Yeah. Pissed off. I need to terrorize some other teenagers.
Yeah, maybe they were over the age of 20. So they were like, you're not a teenager. I don't care about you. Everyone knows prime haunting age is like in your teen years.
But going back to the interviews, I did like that because I think it made it a lot more realistic and it set it up as like a proper documentary as well. Yeah. And I think in like sort of summing it all up, it did make it like way more realistic and scarier because you had that kind of normal bit at the beginning and they're all like messing about and they're all getting on.
I was going to say, it sort of reminds me of, in a weird way, The Purge, how we have like the news article, like the news at the start of it. Obviously it's a bit different, it's with interviews, but it's that sort of like life, like reality type TV in a way.
I think it's a good way of telling us the backstory without having her sit down and be like, I'm going to tell you everything. And as you say, like it established it's a documentary, but it really sets it up as we said, like a project you do for school. Like it's really believable. So I did really like that bit. Even the fisherman. But again, she's like, you have to say yes or no if you give me permission to be on camera. Like it just made it feel real.
Yeah, it did. And like I think it is generally kind of known that they like people do find Heather a bit annoying because like when she's trying to encourage him to walk across the log thing and she's like, think of this, think of that, and he's like, shut the fuck up.
I literally wanted to punch her like the most of the movie. She was so annoying. I think she was actually like a bit of like a minus point for me overall, and that's fucking horrible to say, but I mean she did do a good job. but she was fucking annoying.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because
she's a good actress, but like the character was annoying.
Yeah.
It's always one of those, and I know it sounds really like I'm really picking holes, but if it was one of the male characters doing that, would we be like, oh, that's really annoying? Because it's like, again, it's one of those where like women are always called annoying.
True.
For certain things that men would have got away with. So I'm always like, is it because she was female? Or is it because she was generally annoying? Because again, I'm like, she obviously had this vision, whereas when like male directors like, I have a vision, everyone applauds them and goes with it. But when she's like, I have a vision for my documentary, yes, it's annoying having to be the one on camera, but like that's what she was trying to do. So like they've agreed to be in it. So it's like either you suck it up when you go with the director's vision, or you talk about this before you get lost in the middle of the woods and start having arguments. Like, and again, like that's me really sort of nitpicking, but
no, that's a fair point. Like maybe there wouldn't have been as much shit if I mean, to me, that wasn't really, I didn't really think of it like that. I just thought of it that it wasn't really kind of what she wanted as part of the documentary. It was more the other stuff where she would just kind of like talk at them quite a lot. But like we were saying last week, Tal, when like women are portrayed as stereotypical sort of naggy, bossy kind of people, like maybe there was a bit of that as well.
Where, and again, there's always that really bitter part of me that's like, women are called naggy and like, oh, you're just bossing everyone around. Whereas if it was a guy, he'd be called the leader. Like he was taking charge of the situation. It's like, fuck off. And again, it's just one of those where I'm like, I find it hard that where you're like trying to perceive it, because you're like, if the tables were turned, if the turntables would happen? Would we still be thinking
that's a good point? Maybe me and Charlie just like really bad feminists.
It's not that though, is it? Because it is just, don't be wrong, just because you're a woman you can still be annoying, but but just because you're a man doesn't mean you're always right. Like, so again, there's always I don't know, I'm just maybe I'm overthinking it.
Good point.
I feel like this is like we haven't got half as much to talk about, because we're like, where's the camera? They're in the woods.
What else happened?
Well, lots of arguing. What did you think of the symbolism, Charlie? Sorry, my chair is really squeaky.
What, the Wicker things? I don't know, it's like taking us back to Wicker Man, isn't it? A bit.
All this mythology, it's like, who came first?
Yeah, like
Nicolas Cage or
anyone?
I don't know. I did like it. I liked the stones and like how they used them, like the graves. And then like when they woke up, they were like coincidentally in the middle of like 3 of them. And like the fucking dead birds and shit. It was a bit like, oh, I don't know. It just felt like it could have done without it, and it wouldn't have been like missing. Like it wasn't vital to it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I like the idea of like the stones and stuff like being like graves or whatever they were saying. But yeah, like I don't know, it's a bit. I just don't think that that's my type of thing anyway, and that's probably just why I just didn't enjoy it as much. How about you guys?
Yeah, I liked it because it was, I think when they see everything hanging up and they keep like coming across different things as well. I thought that sort of added to it a little bit. And then seeing the little stones around, and then they started questioning each other like, oh, did you do that? Are you fucking with us? And again, it was like another, I mean, this witch is such a shit stirrer, honestly. She's just trying to get
She's
them
there
all
with
fall
her big
out.
old cauldron stirring the pot.
Literally.
Witches always starting drama.
Yeah, they are. Goddamn women, man. I joke, obviously.
Yeah, she's not actually a witch. She's actually a bitch.
That's why covens can't have nice things. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I quite liked it because it kind of then added on another layer of like, who is doing this? Is someone doing it or what? And also I think it just added to it, and it's when you do see things like that nowadays, I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's quite Blair Witchy. Or I think me and Tal, didn't me and you go to the woods in, it was around once, and we saw, I'll try and find the picture there's a picture of you and me. I think we went to these, do you remember this? We went to these woods
at night. I thought you meant like during the day. I was like, when did we Yeah.
No, I do mean during the day.
Oh, I remember going at night.
Oh, okay. No,
Okay.
I'll find the photo.
We went on a walk to one of our friends' house on New Year's Eve to go and get their work uniform, and on the way back, people were telling fucking ghost stories, and that freaked me the fuck out.
That
Yeah,
pissed me off.
I remember that. I'm trying to remember what we saw in the woods the time you're referencing, Katie.
So there was a lot in one of the lockdown times. We went to the woods, and we saw a lot of Blair Witchy things. They were there on purpose. Like it was I think it might have been a National Trust place. I know what I'm talking about, so I will put this photo up.
I know where you know. I do know where you mean. Yeah, it's just sort of clicked where you mean. I don't remember where the photo. Yeah, I'm hoping you have the pictures because I won't be able to find them. But no, I do
On
know
it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I get, especially like after COVID. But even growing up in the sort of woods around, people always fucking with them. Like there was always some shit going on there to like scare people. And I think one of our mates went camping there and like opened the tent and said he saw someone wearing a mask. Like,
So is that the origin of Butcher's Wood then? Do you guys know what it is? Like what the story is?
I don't actually. Go on, Charlie.
Tell.
Share.
Do you not know?
No. So there
The
was
guy
a
with the butcher's hook.
Oh, fuck off. No. What?
Yeah, it's got its own ghost story.
Right, so this is a wood near where we all met and went to school. It was called Butcher's Woods, but I didn't know. Fuck off. This is like the start of fucking Halloween.
Yeah, no.
There was a
It
man
guy
called
with Butcher's
Michael.
Woods. It was apparently in like whenever it was, a butcher or a guy with a butcher's hook used to go around hanging people in that woods.
That sounds so much like a bunch of teenagers who watch too many horrors trying to come up with a scary story. And at the same time, I'm disappointed no one's made this horror film yet.
It's fucking terrifying. Like, yeah.
I don't remember hearing anything about this.
There is more to it, but I can't, like, it's been a long day.
I shouldn't be laughing, but this is literally making me think of Hatchet. That's the type of story it is, and I'm like, we need to make.
There we
this
go.
film.
I should be a screenwriter.
We need to make this
area.
film.
Victor Crowley, like
that's the story that's coming to mind, especially with the fucking hook.
We should do like a Mid Sussex series of.
I mean, it'd be better than Winnie the Pooh. So I have found our lovely fact. It took 8 days to film.
Wow.
And I was right. The directors and that were fucking with them. They did like when the tent starts shaking violently. That was the director, and he didn't tell them they were going to do it either. So the actors like genuine reactions. Yes, they did try and they didn't try. They did reduce their food, so obviously they got hungrier and more stressed. They kept in touch with them via walkie-talkies to ensure the three would not become lost. But they did reportedly actually get lost at least 3 times. It isn't funny, but probably adds to the actual film. And one of the cameras they used was bought at Circuit City, and after filming, they actually took it back for a refund. So they actually ended up saving on their budget.
I guess 8 days. That's enough to film something, turn around, and be like, oh, it's broken or whatever.
28-day return policy, yeah.
Yeah.
The final day of shooting took place on Halloween night. The crew had planned on wrapping 1 day before, but their camera had run out of batteries due to the camera light, requiring an additional day of shooting. That is true, actually. The cameras lasted like 8 days, and I can't remember how long this film was supposed to be over. It's over a weekend, isn't it? So it's like 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would the cameras have lasted that long?
Because they got extra batteries.
Yeah.
True. Honestly, they were filming constantly.
What they probably did is like, okay, you'll shoot with this camera tonight. And then I don't know, they take the batteries away. Oh, that's the cat. So
what else could it be? It's the witch.
Fucking hell. It's like literally just jumped through the window, and then like all my clothes and my clothes hangers just my clothes horse just fucking moved. It terrified me. Jump scare. I can't remember what I was saying. But yeah, they might have just walked around like, okay, use this camera tonight, and then they'll I don't know, pop in some batteries or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it does make sense.
Shake the tent while they're at it.
There you go. Well, although the bit where we said about how much we loved the interviews, the actors were requested to interview the townspeople, but unbeknownst to the actors, they were planted by the directors. So as a result, the expressions of the actors' faces were unrehearsed. So obviously, there we were saying obviously about how much we liked them, and because they were trying to keep up this facade that actually the Blair Witch was real, the actors all really believed it, as in the main three. So they even planted townspeople to be like, "Oh yeah, the Blair Witch is real," and they didn't realize.
Oh, it's scary. It's very scary.
Yeah, I still love that one. But that's really clever, actually. Yeah, to like build up the story, and be like all the locals, like, "Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely legit."
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
I also did read after that the little town where it was filmed,
Yeah,
turned into like a massive tourist attraction for like a few years up, like the following few years after. Like people would just go and visit it, and it was like a small town of like 200 people, whatever.
yeah.
I wonder if like the locals like that, or they were just like, no, it doesn't exist.
I think it's ended up causing quite a bit of damage because people are dicks. Like tourists can be absolute twats when they turn up to an area. So yeah.
Yeah. I did also read as well the house, like the end house where they end up, was used as a party house for raves for teenagers beforehand.
I mean,
and they could no longer party in there. They couldn't party in there because it was full of tourists.
Fuck. Even the local teens are like, "Well, you piss off."
Yeah.
That's quite funny.
I want my rave then back. God.
I was trying to figure out like what the symbols were on the wall in that house, but I imagine actually if it was just a ravers, then it was probably random shit. It was probably nothing to do with the film. They go, each of the three leads were required to sign a release granting the production permission to mess with your head. Which is always bodes well, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's not a whole lot because I suppose it was filmed so quickly and it was such a small budget, and the idea of it was so simple that there's not a huge amount, but you could tell a lot of work went into it, and like generally I think it worked really well. I think there were just some bits which seemed a little slow, but it's funny that me and Charlie thought that some bits seemed slow, but you didn't at all, tell.
She was preoccupying herself with other things.
That's true.
I had other things on. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that because yeah. Normally I'm the one like, yeah, it's so slow.
No, it's interesting. How the turntables.
Although Charlie, you and I both said about the end kind of maybe just needing a bit more. So it was originally planned to include both the story of the missing students as well as the aftermath of their disappearance. So the found footage of the trio would be framed by newscasts about the search for them, as well as interviews with family members. Most of this material was cut out during editing for feeling contrived and too scripted, in favor of focusing completely on the story of the three students. Although a lot of that material was used in the viral marketing. So I wonder if that had been left in, if you and I might have been like,
or we've been, oh, it's too long.
It's too long. Yeah, but I wonder if we might have been a bit more satisfied if to be like, oh, that's what happened next. Because I think that's the thing, I always kind of want to know what happens next.
I feel like as well, if they'd done that as found footage, at least then that way there is some, like, if you left the cinema back in 99, you'd be like, oh, okay, like, fuck, this is like proper legit. There's, I don't know.
But it was originally 2.5 hours, the first cut of it. So actually they cut down loads.
It's like our original like our original recordings of the podcast.
Yeah, which they take a little bit longer to get ready for YouTube because I'm like, oh my god, it's like 2.5, 3 hour recording. But I think that's really funny. Yeah. Although also apparently slightly sadder one, but Heather Donahue brought a knife into the forest while filming because she didn't like the idea of sleeping with two guys.
Oh, that is sad.
It's really sad. Although there are pictures of them, like more modern photos of them all still hugging. So I think they kind of got them all back together for like a promo thing. And they all still seem to be getting on. So all of that tension and fighting that they did in the woods did seem to get left behind after filming, which is nice.
That's good.
Yeah,
friends
we
again.
like a happy ending.
Yeah.
Yay.
Not in the films, just in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not actually dead in real life, so that's always good.
Yeah, that helps. And they've all got their tongues.
Yes, as far as we're aware.
That is also very true. Okay, well, I have actually now just found a bunch more facts, but I'm not going to keep reading them because I'm just reading them to myself now, just trying to pick out which ones are good. But it is really interesting. I do think there was a lot put into this, but that is not why we're here. Do we think we would survive the Blair Witch Project? Katie, I'll come to you first.
Oh, I'm so thrown by this question every week. I mean, probably not, because none of them survive. So
True.
why would I be any different? I mean, if I'm up against a witch, I feel like no, because this witch and whatever, this coven, whatever, has control of the whole woods. So I'd find it very hard to escape from. And I do feel like when they were going around in circles, it does make you wonder if a lot of it was intentional, like the witch was doing that. Or they were genuinely just getting lost. I don't know. So, but maybe I'd survive because I wouldn't be such a fucking idiot and throw the map in the stream. But if not, then no. Tell, what about you? We'll leave Charlie till last.
But we know her answer. So this is the thing. Well, not the thing. Obviously, me and my partner do go hiking, and that I'm getting better at reading a map. He is normally my guide, but I'm getting better. However, my small problem, as we have discovered before, is I'm slightly blind. Like, genuinely, my eyesight is getting worse and worse. And without my contact lenses, like, I would have my glasses, but I'd probably have fucking lost them. Because you guys said something earlier, and I've already forgotten what it was, but I was going to say it then. But when it's like when you're like, oh, it was the bit where you were saying about like the road or the woman in the white dress. I wouldn't have fucking seen that because my eyesight is not good enough. So I was like, how did the actors not see the road? And then I was like, oh, I wouldn't have seen the road. Like, I literally was out on a walk this weekend and I thought I was looking at a pond. And then I put my glasses on and I realized I don't even know how, but it was like leaves. And I thought they were like lily pads on the water. Like, honestly, it's a whole different world when I haven't got my glasses on. My eyesight is so bad. So I actually might be fucked. Because I think I'd just be walking through the forest and having no idea what's 5-10 meters in front of me. Everything has to be very close. The witch could be in front of me or 20 feet away and I wouldn't know.
You'll just be like, hi.
Hi. Literally,
hey, Katie.
You carry on. And I'd be like, there's a tree up there. It's waving in the wind. It must be really a windy day. Honestly, there was a meme came up and it was like, where do we think we got mermaids from, unicorns and all these like mythical creatures? And everyone's like, oh, you know, you've got like drunken pirates and all these stories. And they're like, no, I guarantee it was just people with bad eyesight. Because honestly, like some days the things I've thought I've seen and then I'm like, oh, never mind. It's a whole other world. So there you go. It's my long rambling explanation to basically say no because my eyesight is shit. Hey. Charlie, go on then.
Of course I'm surviving.
How are you surviving?
I am surviving because I am great at orienteering. Like I don't know, like it's just like a really sick little function that I can do. I don't know. So I would work my way out those woods. I'd follow that fucking stream for a start because the stream ran through the town. That's it. Follow it far back enough and I'll hit a village or something.
What would you do though if you walked for 15 hours and then you ended up at the same place?
Then I'd be like, some bitch is trying to fuck with me.
At that point, it's like, fuck. This is
at that point, fucking possess me or some shit and cut out my tongue, and I'd give you a knock on the nose.
So you're surviving if the witch is mythical. You're fucked if the witch is real.
If the witch is real, I will turn into the witch. I shall become the witch and own that witch. I don't know. I'd work it out.
If I could
I'd
find the
cast a spell on
stream,
her.
if I could find the stream, I wouldn't have to see further than the stream. But I've got to
Wait,
find
witches
the
can't have
stream.
water on them. I'll splash some water on her. Be like, fuck off, dick. And there we go. That's how I'd survive.
I love the fact we actually still have no idea if the witch is real or not. This is why I want more answers. I know there are sequels.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
I think there's another one, isn't there?
Yeah.
I don't think it's
2016.
anything to do with the original cast or anything. I don't think.
I think it gives me more. I haven't actually said it, but I don't think it'll give me more answers.
No. So the ultimate question. I was about to say, do you think we'd survive? But we've already asked that question, haven't we? How many spookies are we giving Blair Witch Project? And what is your favorite spook? And I will go to you, Tal.
I'm gonna give it, I think 3.5. Like, I do think it's weird. It's a strong film, but it's not the whole way through. It's not. But it is generally quite a scary film. They do build the tension. I know you guys keep saying it's long. Maybe I need to sit down and actually watch it and be like, oh, they were right. But I do think, again, it did so much for horror. And it felt very real. Again, like, I think it was Charlie said you weren't 100% sold on the acting. But I actually really could see a group of college kids doing this. Like, that to me felt very real. And then, like, the fighting and everything all felt real. So I'm gonna leave that. My favorite spooky moment, I think, it's gonna be when you realize he threw the map in the river, because I think at that point it's like that malicious moment of like, we're supposed to be a team, what the fuck is going on? And then you start wondering like, oh, is he possessed, or like, what the fuck is this? So I'm gonna go with that. Katie, what about you? We'll save Charlie to end again.
I'm going to give it 3 spookies out of 5. Solid. I thought it was good. There's a lot of nostalgia there, and some of it in parts did feel a bit long, but in general, like, you know, I still thought it was really good. It was a pretty good film. And again, like we said, it kind of started off the movement of found footage and, well, reignited it after Cannibal Holocaust. So I think that was really cool. And my favorite spooky moment, I think weirdly, was when when he was rocking back and forth, and you could tell that he was just like losing it at that point. And that was like really like kind of scary to see. And then like Heather sits down with him and you think like, oh God, like this is actually getting really bad now. So yeah, that would be mine. Charlie, what about you?
I am going to give it 3 spookies, I think. Much like you, Katie, I feel like it just felt like it was a bit too long and maybe a bit too unresolved for my liking. As I said, I wasn't really sold on the acting in some parts as well, but I do like the fact that you never see even sorry, freaking hiccup. Even though you are meant to see something, we don't see anything because obviously we were so scared. She was so scared when filming it. And I like that. And I think my favorite spooky moment, I think it has to be right at the end where you can hear him shouting the name through like the other camera and they're running throughout the house trying to like that's just like, and then the fucking end, it's like, it's annoying, but it's like, okay, cool.
Nice. So that was Charlie's last Will We Survive and Charlie's last spookies.
I was.
And of course I'm fucking surviving.
Imagine if she said she wouldn't.
So the last one, be like, nope, she's gonna take me down.
No. Charlie versus Blair Witch. This is my death.
That's
my
the
death
sequel.
is the Blair Witch.
That's the sequel. Charlie takes on the Blair Witch solo. Well, that was our the Blair Witch Project episode and Charlie's final episode, but we will be returning in the future. You will hear 2 familiar voices. But if you want to hear any more from Charlie, go back. We've got, what did we say, 9 seasons worth of episodes. So, you know, Charlie's voice will always be there. And I'm sure we'll see her commenting on the Instagram every now and then. But until next season, bye.
Bye-bye.
For the last time,
I'm dead.
oh.
Beautiful.
I died.
That is not what I was expecting. I should have seen it coming.
I died.